All right, this goes out to my viewers. If you're not watching one of the many live streams out there, it was just reported moments ago that the verdict is in exactly 1 minute and 1 hour and 10 minutes from this video, roughly 1 hour from when I publish it, we will have a verdict. And I think it's important to discuss, first of all, what we think is going to happen, why they came back so quick. Does that mean that one side won, one side didn't win? But I want to start with, first, I'm really proud of people like Nick Rekieta, Legal Bites, everybody that I've met on LawTube, whether it was this or the Kyle coverage. I'm really happy for all of their success. If you haven't followed like Legal Bites or Rekieta Media or these folks, I suggest you do. They provide real-time breakdowns of this stuff, and they've been really gracious in allowing me on their live streams, and so I'm really thankful for them. Second of all, if you want to be notified the second the verdict is read, make sure you click that red subscribe button down below. I'll publish a video moments afterwards, break down what it means, and give you some reaction. So, right after lunch, the jury had said, hey, we only need 45 minutes for lunch. We want to quick eat, then come back. And I thought when they said, hey, we only want 45 minutes instead of the normal hour or so, I pretty much made up my mind that at that point that they were going to come back and give the verdict. And that's exactly what they did do. On top of that, there were some things yesterday. They only asked one question, as far as I'm aware of the judge. That question was specifically about whether or not a headline in the article would constitute defamation. At the time, we discussed on this channel that, well, that probably means that they've selected yes, that he was in fact defamed, and they were trying to deliberate on exactly which one of the things that were done were that piece of the vehicle in which the defamation was served. The 7-person jury has now reached a unanimous decision in Fairfax, Virginia on Wednesday in the third day of deliberations, really the second day. And it's really only, if you think about it, they deliberated for like, what, 10 hours? Not that much. The Pirate Star 58, of course, suing his ex. She came back with, the $100 million countersuit. Let's just say, like, here's what I can say, offer some advice. Okay. And this is what I've gleaned from also LawTube and talking to a lot of these lawyers behind the scenes. Once it goes to a jury, anything could happen. I think no matter what they read out loud, that JD has almost certainly restored his public image. That he was, he was at best, at worst, giving as good as he got. And what was probably reality, he was definitely on the receiving end of some very, very bad behavior. It is my opinion that this document was written to hurt him. It is my opinion that once this document was published in collaboration with the ACLU, who got a $7 million payout promissory note that was never paid, it's my opinion that this piece did derail his career. I think that's undeniable. And I think when you're talking about like defamation stuff, people talk about this all the time on YouTube, like, oh, Ethan Klein said you're a P word, or he said this. You should sue him. I have to show I have to be able to tie financial losses to the statement that he made. And until I can do that, there's no point in suing somebody for the most part. He knows that's why he says these things. But in this particular case, we do know that there were financial damages. I think the average person, given the testimony of this case, would agree that there probably was a handshake agreement for Pirates of the Caribbean 6. I think we don't have to speculate that he was, in fact, fired from the Fantastic Beasts movie, which sucked anyway. So it's probably, and he got paid out in full. So Did he lose back end money on that? Did he lose future roles? I think this is the case that he had to make, and I think he could make that. So in his particular case, I think he can make a very strong case for his losing of, cash money. Following 6 weeks of testimony that was filled with all sorts of stuff that normal people could never relate to, including a dog stepping on a bee, the jury had to reach a unanimous decision for a verdict to be handed down. Among the questions they had to consider was whether or not the op-ed defamed JD, which I think, based on their question yesterday, that they did. Now, they may come back. I mean, they could do anything. They could come back and say, yes, he was defamed. We're not giving him any money, which I honestly would bet that he wouldn't care about. They could come back. They could come back and completely side with AH. And just totally blow all of our minds. That's why I want people to weather their expectations and understand that this is the wild card. Even if it's going to a judge and not a jury, there are things that can be said and done by that judge that, won't exactly line up with this stuff. Line up with what we think. When we watched the Kyle trial, I covered that in depth, and it was like never more obvious that this kid was just defending himself. But right up until the very moment where they read that verdict, I was still nervous for him because I knew it could go any way. Now, while the op-ed obviously didn't name him directly, his attorneys argued that he was still smeared because it was clearly referenced to him given their previous claims, which we agree. Now, I think that the world is ready to move on, to the next ridiculous thing. Obviously, there are more important things in the world than 2 multimillionaires arguing. But I do think this is important from a perspective of men who face women who raise their hands to them, or put them in bad situations. Men so very, very rarely report when they are on the receiving end of bad behavior from their spouse or girlfriend. When they do, and I want to take the opportunity at the end of this video, and I'm going to mention it when we read the actual verdict. This, to me, is about awareness that men can be on the receiving end of this type of behavior. They so very rarely report it. We saw JD definitely did not report it until it had to come out in this lawsuit. When men do report it, they're often mocked, ignored. Local PD will often call guys wimps or this or that. And I think what we found in this story is that even somebody who's worth $100 million can still get pushed around by a woman in a relationship, literally and figuratively. And it's important that the world takes notice. As the petition to get her cut from Aquaman 2 nears its $4.5 million signature goal, sitting at 4.43 million signatures. It might have actually just passed it. Nope, 4.43 million signatures. What happens if she's found guilty? Well, probably nothing, because she's a woman in Hollywood and they don't face any consequence. Now, maybe it would be more active or passive, where like she doesn't get many future roles. Is the jury going to award JD $50 million? I highly doubt it, even if he wins. What if she wins? What changes? Well, really? Not much. Now the world is seen. So I would say that even if he takes like a legal loss here, he's still won, because the world has seen exactly the type of person that she is and the exact type of person that he is. He was already canceled, so he had literally nothing to lose and everything to gain. And no matter what, he got the message out there. Everyone now knows exactly the type of person she is. So we're going to have the verdict read in about an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours by the time we get the final conclusion. I suggest you brew yourself up a cup of coffee or hot cocoa. Maybe head on over to coffeebrandcoffee.com. Save 5% with promo code TheCourting, or 10% by using auto refill. And we'll see you again. Make sure you click that red subscribe button and you turn notifications on, because I'll get you a video right away.